Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, roads out of a major festival in Nevada's Black Rock Desert reopen for thousands of people trapped in a muddy mess for days after heavy rain. And presidential hopefuls are using the Labor Day holiday for some FaceTime with supporters.
Plus, we stay dry tonight, but some changes are on the way. Those details coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley and happy Labor Day. People attending this year's Burning Man Festival are hoping to get the green light to leave the venue after being trapped in Nevada's remote Black Rock Desert because of stormy weather. Tens of thousands are stranded after more than a half-inch of rain fell Friday, turning the site into a muddy mess. CBS's Elise Preston has the latest from Black Rock City, Nevada.
The sloppy mess at the annual Burning Man Festival is starting to dry out, prompting organizers to consider opening the front gates, allowing revelers to leave. A rare downpour on Friday turned the grounds into a soupy sea of mud and muck and left roads leading away from the venue impassable.
You don't expect this kind of rain, and the effect, nobody's ever seen this kind of effect in there, ever, in the history of 1988 on.
The deluge caused organizers to lock the front gates, rendered porta potties unusable, and limited access to food and water. Around 70,000 attendees were advised to shelter in place and ration supplies.
We're okay. We have enough tuna for a week.
Some made their way through the mud to the main road and eventually to the Reno Tahoe International Airport.
On the ground, things actually felt not only safe and comfortable, actually fun, because we, we're there for our community and we all came together and made the best of it.
Satellite images show just how massive the annual Counterculture Festival is. Thousands of artists, activists, and others attend every year. The Burning Man spirit involves taking everything with you and leaving no trace.
This is the best burn ever, and I'm having the best time.
Whether they leave immediately or stick around to watch the effigy of the man burn Monday night, revelers are certain to share their stories about their unforgettable experience in the desert. Elise Preston, CBS News, Black Rock City, Nevada.
Organizers have postponed the festival's main ceremony from last night to tonight, the traditional burning of the wooden figure known as the man. Officials have confirmed one death at the Burning Man Festival after the wave of downpours, but the cause is still under investigation. The manhunt for a convicted killer is in its fifth day in Pennsylvania. 34-year-old Danilo Cavalcanti escaped Chester County Prison on Thursday and has since been spotted several times in the area. Pennsylvania state troopers have been going home by home in the 2-mile search radius and are asking those nearby to stay out of a wooded area. Authorities are also using a helicopter to broadcast a message from his mother asking him to surrender.
I intend to stress him. I want to push him hard. He'll make mistakes. He'll show himself.
Cavalcante was sentenced to life without parole last week for murdering his ex-girlfriend, who prosecutors say was going to tell authorities about charges he faces in Brazil for a 2017 murder. County officials have not yet said how he escaped. Steve Harwell, the former lead singer of the rock group Smash Mouth, has died. The band's manager says the singer, known for hits like All Star, died at his home in Boise, Idaho earlier today. Harwell had recently entered hospice care for liver failure. He was a co-founder and the longtime lead singer of Smash Mouth. The band's hits include Walkin' on the Sun and I'm a Believer, featured in the hit movie Shrek. Harwell left the band in 2021. He was 56 years old. And officials with the World Chicken Festival in London announced on social media that the show with Smash Mouth will go on. Zach Good, who has been the band's lead singer since March of last year, says the band will still perform at the festival later this month.
Well, the weather is very seasonable for your Labor Day across the mountains. Here's a live look from London to Hazard to Pikeville, and the weather does not get much better. We're dry, under plenty of sunshine. Those temperatures also warm in the middle to upper 80s, and once you factor in that dew point, feels like the upper 80s and lower 90s across the mountains right now. Most of us still in the upper 80s and lower 90s. 90 for Somerset, also Manchester, 92 for Monticello, 87 for Jackson, 86 for Grundy, also Clinton. So temperatures, they are warm, but that's what you can expect for Labor Day here in the mountains. Up on the radar, we are dry as well, all thanks to high pressure. As we zoom out, you can see that high pressure parked over the region right now, but that will change as early as Wednesday. As you can see, those rain chances, they are going to return by Wednesday, also Thursday. Those details plus your full 7-day forecast coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Cameron, thank you. On this Labor Day, many Americans have a day off as the country celebrates workers. The holiday also marks the unofficial end of summer and every 4 years an unofficial kickoff to the presidential campaign. For the 2024 candidates, the organized labor movement and the potential for more worker strikes may be part of the political debate. CBS's Skylar Henry has more from the White House.
Vivek Ramaswamy marched alongside supporters during a Labor Day parade in Milford, New Hampshire, a state critical to his political future.
It's very important. I think top 3 in Iowa, top 2 in New Hampshire. That puts me on a trajectory to be the next president, and we're working to do it. We've been in both states more than any other candidate.
Despite his in-person appearance, Ramaswamy's supporters were outnumbered Monday by marchers loyal to former President Trump.
I'm just here for the barbecue.
Former Vice President Mike Pence stopped in Concord, where a holiday barbecue cook-off was underway.
I'll be honest with you, our life's been pretty good the last couple of years. And it might have been easy to sit this one out, but that's not the way I was raised.
President Biden spent the day with a group that traditionally has lent him strong support, labor union workers.
Folks, in this Labor Day, let me tell you what we're celebrating. We're celebrating jobs, good-paying jobs. Jobs you can raise a family on, union jobs.
But labor strife threatens the economic record Biden is running on. An auto worker strike could be 10 days away without a new contract. Biden said Monday he didn't think it would happen, but union members say a strike remains a possibility.
You know, there's no excuse at the end of this. If we get to the 14th and they haven't delivered, then we got to do what we got to do.
Ongoing Hollywood strikes have networks preparing for a new television season without the actors and writers who are on the picket line. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
American Airlines flight attendants have also voted to authorize a strike if they do not receive a new contract. However, they will not be allowed to walk off the job without support from a federal mediator. The president and Congress can also block airline attendants from going on strike. Donald Trump is still leading the pack in the 2024 Republican presidential primary. A new Wall Street Journal poll shows that 59% of voters would choose him first. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis came in a distant second with 13% support. Meanwhile, Trump's criminal indictments appear to be helping him gain support. 60% of respondents see the charges as political. This election cycle, young voters are expected to have a major impact. WYMT Washington reporter Annie Anderson breaks down what has led to the increase in young voters heading to the polls.
It's something red and blue both agree on.
The future of our nation depends on the courage and devotion of its young people.
And the young people of this country hold the future of the nation.
And the young people are listening. Tufts University found that in the 2022 election, 23% of eligible young people voted. In 2016, Gen Z's first election, 27.7 million young voters came out. That's a 50% voter turnout for people 19 to 29. Clarissa Unger with Students Learn, Students Vote says a lot of the energy comes from the issues facing young people.
Young people are really passionate about reproductive rights, about gun control and gun policies, about climate change, about affordable education.
Those platforms generally turn into votes for Democrats, according to analysis from Tufts University. In 2020, 61% of youth voted for Joe Biden, but that doesn't mean Republicans don't also get young voters. Tufts University found that when it comes to young rural voters, Republicans have the edge. In the 2022 election, 64% of them voted for a Republican House candidate and just 33% for a Democrat. That's why both parties are clamoring for young voters and working with schools to get them ready for the polls.
There's also a lot of colleges and universities who are really making an intentional effort to educate people about the voting process.
Kai Kawashima Ginsburg with Tufts University says there's one area that needs work: engaging the youngest voters.
When we look at the smaller slice of that, 18 to 19-year-olds, we actually saw smaller number of young people registering by November of midterm year compared to 2018.
Gen Z activist Zoe Williamson says that will be a priority for her this cycle.
They're first-time voters and they don't have this habit built in. They don't have the background knowledge about why you need to register to vote in order to cast your ballot.
With less than a year until the primaries start, she's already working on getting young people ready for the polls. In Washington, Annie Anderson.
Republican Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton's impeachment trial is set to begin tomorrow in the state Senate in Austin. The firebrand conservative is accused of repeatedly abusing his office to help a donor. Paxton has been a key player in steering Texas to the right politically in recent years. The Republican-led Texas House of Representatives impeached him in May. Paxton has had a series of scandals while in office, including an indictment on securities fraud. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, have you ever noticed any surprise fees after attending a concert or staying at a hotel? We'll explain why you may see an end to these junk fees soon.
Plus, we are tracking rain chances to return by the middle of this week. Your full forecast coming up after this break.